Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the ReQuest. I'm Captain Logan. Joining me, as always, is Austin, the Day Ghost. Today, we're tackling a pretty recent, at least for us, since I haven't been talking new comics a lot lately, book from DC from Black Label. And this is only the third or fourth Black Label thing that I've talked about. This is Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which came out in between 2019 and 2020. This is a 4-issue miniseries that was released at the tail end of 19 and finished in 20. And this was requested, once again, doing a ReQuest / Comic Vault. So welcome back to the vast anonymous requested Comic Vault. This is requested by MattBat68 on Patreon. Thanks very much to you. And quick plug, as always, if you would like to make a request yourself, you can go to patreon.com/geekvolution. The $15 tier makes that possible, and you can put in for a comic, a movie, or a TV pilot. So, Austin, I want to start right away by asking you, how much Wonder Woman stuff in general have you read? Because this is the first standalone solo Wonder Woman thing I've read in probably 5 or 6 years. Like, I like Wonder Woman in stuff. I've never been a giant Wonder Woman fan, and I don't think I've read anything since, like, I reviewed some of Rucka, which I'm not immediately remembering a ton about. But anyway.
Off the top of my head, I know that I've read the first at least 2 trades of the New 52 Wonder Woman, the Azzarello run.
Yeah, which I still have never done. Or maybe I've read an arc. I can't remember. It's been so long.
Yeah, and I remember liking that well enough. I think that one's more like controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a love-hate thing. Some people really like that book, and some people think that it goes against a lot of like basic tenets of that character.
Which I can understand. Like, there's definitely things that if I were to read it now, I would maybe have more of an issue with.
I remember people complaining about it leaning too much into like the sword and that kind of thing, where like Wonder Woman was too much of a I don't know, too much of a warrior in that. She like led with her sword and not with her lasso and gauntlets and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of Wonder Woman with a sword. That also rewrites her origin, where the clay thing is not real. It was just a story she was told. And I think that was a big issue people had as well. And I know I've definitely read Wonder Woman Earth 1, which I remember being atrocious.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It hasn't really stuck with me. I remember it being kind of preachy.
Yeah, that's what I remember. And outside of that, like, I haven't read a ton of Wonder Woman. I've read like just a little bit, just here and there.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite Wonder Woman things, and I need to go back to it and finish it at some point, was the Superman Wonder Woman book during 52. I remember actually liking their romantic relationship quite a bit in that.
I forgot they had a book, yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the few things in 52 that I really kind of liked, was just putting them together.
Yeah, that seemed to be like a thing that we had like here and there before New 52, and then New 52 went, okay, like main continuity, like this is where we're going.
Yeah, they had that famous panel, I think in Justice League somewhere. I want to say it was a Jeff Johns choice. When they like in the middle of a battle or something start making out, and it was a really big deal, and then they gave him the book, and it was kind of fun, just the contrast of those characters, where you had like they're both really godlike in powers, but like one puts herself somewhat above humanity and sees herself as a god, and the other one sees himself as equal to man. And it's kind of interesting to see if those two characters could get along. Spoiler alert: they can't in this.
Yeah, no, they definitely can't in this.
So Wonder Woman Dead Earth, once again, a Black Label thing, which means that it's
this is also my first Black Label book, too.
Oh, is it really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick, if you're not familiar with Black Label, just folks watching right now, and by the way, welcome if you're watching live. Thanks for being here. If you're watching after the fact, be sure to appreciate that as well. Black Label is kind of new Vertigo, and I think they've been re-releasing some old Vertigo stuff under that label, under that umbrella as well. But Black Label is basically where stuff goes that is usually out of I say usually because I'm not totally sure if anything continuity actually goes in Black Label, but it's usually out of continuity stuff that's real adult and that they like real violent, can get kind of vulgar and just pushes a lot of envelopes. And it's it's a little weird to have a label like that with so much mainstream DC characters where it's not an imprint to put necessarily. I mean, there's Hellblazer stuff there and other things, but like it's not the label where they go, we're gonna put everything not in continuity that's not like mainstream DC superhero stuff. Half of it's Batman stuff. It's like this is the stuff that's just even way too adult for a regular line. I couldn't tell you where the line is anymore, beyond maybe Black Label will sometimes actually allow swearing and not feel the need to black it out or just have the symbols. But I think maybe even sometimes in Black Label they do that too.
Oh my god, I hate when
can't
they
remember.
do that.
I hate it so much. Yeah.
At least you can show Batman's penis in Black Label, right?
Well, no, you could for a minute until it was really controversial, and I'm really glad that I own a copy of the first printing of that, just because it's so weirdly infamous now that happened. I was like, yeah, I got my hands on one, but
To get that signed.
yeah, and on that page, like right over that particular panel
get
too.
Kevin Conroy to sign that. Or Robert Pattinson. Me and him get him to sign it.
So anyway, Black Label has been more than hit and miss. I've liked less than, I've disliked more than I've liked with it of the few things I've read. I did review Harleen, and really, really liked that. That's maybe my favorite Harley Quinn origin now, and maybe Harley Quinn just story in general. I've got a review of that on the channel if you're curious about it. And then I also reviewed Three Jokers, which is really terrible. One of the worst Batman stories I've probably read. And then I made the mistake of going ahead and reading Tom King's Batman Catwoman, which was weirdly, both of those things oddly put under Black Label because they're both kind of like ends or cap-offs of runs that don't count, or like bits of continuity that, like, Three Jokers was the thing we were leading to in Rebirth for years, and finally, I guess we'll get something out that's about that because people are wondering whatever happened to that. And it was teased just like the Watchmen thing. None of those things ever came together. Like, at least Watchmen got that odd sequel that was not good. I've never been able to finish that. Somebody requested that at one point and retracted it or changed it or something, and so I still have never finished that. Anyway,
Nobody told me that was a request that was then taken off.
I digress. So, Wonder Woman Dead Earth, I'll say right away, having read this now, is definitely one of the better Black Label things I've read. I don't know if I like it as well as Harleen, but it's more than solid, and we'll go ahead and get into it. This is again, 4-issue miniseries. Are the issues oversized? Are they longer than normal? They're probably like 30 pages,
I think
right?
so.
I read this in digital, so I wasn't really paying attention to page count, but...
Yeah, I read it digitally as well, and it said I was at like page 50 when I finished the first issue, but that would include like cover and whatnot.
Right.
So, somewhere
very quick read.
Mm-hmm.
This is not at all a wordy book. This is a very moody book. It's a lot about the atmosphere and the action, and like there's a fair bit of dialogue, but it's not bogged down certainly, and it's just a real fast-paced kind of read. And Austin, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of this post-apocalyptic, out-of-continuity Wonder Woman book?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, have you read such books as Old Man Logan, Dark Knight Returns? What is that Superman one called? Superman, like, Ends of the Earth or something?
Oh,
I can't remember.
I don't know if I've ever read that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember. The one where he fights Hitler and he's old and he's got a giant machine gun.
I've never read that. Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin.
Last Ronin. I think they did an Old Man Hawkeye and an Old Man Frank Castle book, but I
don't know what Old Lady Harley is, so I don't know if that fits in all of that or not.
We're counting it. Old Lady.
Okay, Old Lady Harley. Yeah. Oh, and any of the Marvel The Ends books.
Yeah, I was going to mention those too. Yeah.
Oh, have you read Deceased?
Deceased. There you go. Oh, do we have one to round out for 10?
Is that? Well, did you say Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah, that was
one
of the first
Did you lead with
ones.
that? Yeah, I mean, at all, Brian.
Dark Knight Strikes Again. Okay.
Okay,
anyway.
okay, all right, sure. Yeah, there's got to be another one we're not thinking about. Sure. What else? Well, like
absolutely.
Ghost to the Future and yeah.
But now it's Wonder Woman's turn.
Yeah. Everybody's got to have one.
Yeah, no, everybody gets one.
I mean, you can
So
almost say Marvel Zombies, but it's not really
yeah,
futuristic.
yeah, probably not.
Yeah, that doesn't really count. No, that's a good call.
5590 ERS says Blackest Night. Does
Eh,
that count?
I would not in the category that we're lumping this in because we're saying like future post-apocalyptic, out of continuity,
And it's typically like the characters are older
last
too.
hurrah kinds of books.
Yeah,
Generally speaking,
exactly.
although this has the Dark Knight Returns thing, and of course we'll treat this as a vault, we'll spoil things. This acts kind of like a Dark Knight Returns, where you didn't kill off your older in the future character, and there is room for potentially more adventures after the
Yeah,
fact.
it's
Where
kind of like
she
your
will
old man
continue on.
Logan.
She has a in like Dark Knight Returns, where
Yeah,
like he has a mission statement he plans to continue,
yeah, yeah,
that kind
exactly.
of thing. And she even has a sidekick at the end of this, just like Batman does. It's left ambiguous as to whether the sidekick will stick around and even will continue to trust and believe in Wonder Woman. But I don't know about you. It reads ambiguous. I don't think it is. I think that you flip the page and she grabs her hand, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question.
No, I agree. No, it seems like I think that's just kind of the ending because it's like a big image to end on.
Yeah. And lets her say the name of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, real quick, you want to break that? Well, sorry, because you didn't even really do a synopsis. You just said it's like those things. I apologize. I'll let you
That's
do.
okay.
I'll let you do your synopsis, but then I'd like to go ahead and make some other comparisons to Dark Knight Returns because I think this is in lots of ways Wonder Woman Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, of course. So Wonder Woman Dead Earth is 2019. COVID happens. The world is destroyed. Wonder Woman comes back, and she's got to put the Earth back together. There's monsters everywhere, and
Okay,
you
but
have
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like, don't be disingenuous because the timing is weird, but there's no way that this is actually influenced by COVID.
no, of course. It is just funny that it comes out like right in that time span.
I just didn't want anybody to think that we were actually saying that this is COVID, because somebody's gonna be like, "Well, hey, wait a minute,
Wait a minute.
don't you know
There's no
your
coughing
history
in this
from
book.
2 years ago?"
There's no coughing in this book.
Nobody wears
Yes,
a mask, or at least not a COVID mask.
yeah, we picked the wrong superhero. We picked the one that doesn't wear a mask.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the world's destroyed, and Wonder Woman comes back. She doesn't know what's going on, and she meets this kind of like a Mad Max little like society, like the type of place like a Thunderdome type thing. Like a Mad Max walks into this one society. He'll have his adventure with them for the movie, and then move on.
And just like Old Man Logan, they even
Yeah.
call it the Wasteland, just like or a wasteland, just like with that.
Yeah, exactly. So she meets the society, realizes, they can't really survive where they are, and she's gonna help them find a greener pasture. Past all these monster characters, and then shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, so she's going to take them to Themyscira, where she discovers that the Amazons were actually wiped out, or not wiped out, but were transformed into monsters in this horrible, catastrophic war that happened. She has amnesia. She doesn't know what her part in it is. Everybody knows how much I love amnesia stories, and I like this. The amnesia thing I have questions about. We'll talk about all of that, but because it's kind of just a gimmick so that we can be surprised by what actually happened in the past, and so that she can have her character arc. Because if she doesn't have, and it's not full on amnesia, she doesn't come back like, oh hey, I've got all these powers. Who am I? Like she knows she's Wonder Woman. But she just conveniently has lost the war. It seems like she knows everything before that, but she just doesn't have like how the world was destroyed, why there were nukes, and why there was the Great Fire and all of that. And she comes to realize that Themyscira and humanity at large went to war with each other because humans, as we do in so many of these kinds of things, destroyed the environment, and it got so bad that just in the same way that we always do, right? In just emissions and global warming, and we're not careful enough with the planet. I think it's also really important, by the way, Dead Earth. Wonder Woman is made of clay. She's made of Earth. There's a real clear connection there, and it's supposed to be kind of, I think, more tragic, that it's not just the death of people, but the Earth itself is dying, and she is of the Earth. And where is Swamp Thing? I have lots of where is like. Not one time did I hear the green in this, and of course my eyes would have glazed over. But I'm just suddenly wondering, where's Swamp Thing?
I wish Swamp Thing showed up in this book. That'd be awesome. I love Swamp Thing.
This would have been a good place for him, actually. But anyway,
yeah. Well, I need an old man Swamp Thing book. Get on that, DC.
I think it'd be fun to have a planet hopping Swamp Thing book, where the Earth, that's your post-apocalyptic Swamp Thing. The Earth is destroyed and he has to go find another Earth. He's looking for more green.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
It's a notion.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Austin, what happens with in the past with the war? Why do they go to war, and what happens to the Themyscirans?
Okay, so they go to war because something humans are messing up the planet, and Themyscira, the oceans are rising and it's gonna sink Themyscira, and they don't want to swim, so the Amazons decide to go to war with the humans, and for some reason Wonder Woman tells them oh, don't worry, the humans won't nuke you. But the Amazons decide that they can just kill everybody, and they still won't nuke them.
Yeah.
Which is, they're foolish. But anyways, they get nuked. They're turned into monsters. And then Superman is, he can't stop the nukes from hitting Themyscira, because they also apparently launched a nuke at Smallville, which only makes sense if the president knows that Superman is Clark Kent, so that he could distract Superman. So that whole thing.
I have lots of questions about all of this, but I just wanted to get some of the main beats out of the way for folks that haven't read this in a while.
Yeah, exactly. And then Wonder Woman goes sicko mode and throws Superman through the planet multiple times, and apocalypses the entire planet.
Oh, is that what's supposed to happen?
Yes.
Okay, I was confused as to. By the way, not the biggest fan of some of the art in Wonder Woman beating up Superman. It's real over the top. I don't know if the art in this in general. I guess we'll talk about that too. But yeah, so I was.
That's the place where it gets more anime in some of the action, right?
Yeah.
Especially this panel you have right here, where she's doing the multiple kryptonite punch. That is just straight up an anime shot.
Why is it? Sorry, we're jumping around. Why does Wonder Woman have to kill Superman the same way Superman kills the Joker in an Injustice? We're if you have that kind of super strength, the way you're going to kill someone is always through the chest. Just take their heart. I guess it's efficient.
I wish Superman did that to Zod in Man of Steel.
I was gonna say, do you think it's because the neck snap has almost become a cliche now, or a joke or something because of Man of Steel? So we had to come up with something else.
Yeah, maybe. Because with Joker, it's okay, he's just a regular guy. He punches him and his hand goes through his chest. But
although, was Man of Steel even out when they were developing that game?
I think they're right around the same time.
They're right around the same time, so I guess it can't be that. Anyway,
yeah.
I digress. But yeah, I didn't understand what Wonder Woman did exactly that caused the Great Fire. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, and I guess I just wasn't getting that from the art. Because it seemed like just collateral damage. It seemed like they just fought each other in cities, and there were fires, and some people got incinerated. They show that panel. I don't have it here.
Oh, maybe then, because I assumed what it was that they were kind of she was like flying him through, and they were kind of like going back and forth through the planet.
I
But
didn't get
I
that
could
from
be
the
wrong about
art.
that.
I wish I'd pulled those panels because I didn't.
Mhm.
But yeah, if that's what it's supposed to be, that makes a lot more sense than what I saw. Here's what's weird. There's an explanation that's kind of reversed that would have covered both of the things that we just raised questions about. The so Wonder Woman takes off her gauntlets. We're told that, and I don't know if this is a regular. This must be a regular Wonder Woman thing. It's a thing that I didn't get. The idea that like the gauntlets hold her powers back. Is that just
Yeah,
this book, or is that a regular Wonder Woman thing? I never heard that. I really like that.
yeah, I've never heard that before, but like I said, I haven't read a ton of Wonder Woman, so.
But using that, sorry, I'm jumping around again.
Mhm.
Using that to to bring in the idea of bondage and submission, which is a traditional Wonder Woman thing, is wonderful. If this book came up with it, and if it didn't, it's really great that it goes back to it. That flashback where because she can't control her powers, she's too powerful. She has bits of all of the gods, the Greek gods' blood in her, and so she's just insanely powerful and ultra immortal. And she needs the gauntlets to hold her back to make sure that she doesn't ever go too far and that she is responsible as a god. And there's this wonderful panel where she decides to put the gauntlets on and agrees to that and says, "I choose submission." And I was like, "Oh, that's really classic Wonder Woman." Like, that's where the book like it immediately grabbed. Like, it was like, I don't know, toward the beginning of the second issue, that really grabbed me. Where I was like, "Oh, this isn't just a future Wonder Woman, like your typical uh, post-apocalyptic thing. This is using a out of continuity, simple story set in the future, where she's kind of refining herself to kind of
Give you a mission statement on the
on the
character.
character, yeah. I was gonna say to redefine the character again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's weirdly a good place if you don't understand a lot of things about Wonder Woman, but have maybe read her in things or seen the movies and stuff. To get like the point of this character, like that stuff, and then the idea that she believes in human beings even though they don't deserve it, and she doesn't. That's kind of the whole her whole motivation and then character arc is she believes in the potential of humanity and has a broader perspective because she's immortal and lives forever, and sees like the over arc of individual humans where they make a lot of mistakes but they can maybe redeem themselves. And then she finds out that she loses her faith in people, and she loses that whole thing, has a shattering disillusionment when she discovers that humanity killed her home. Like, as long as her home is still there, she still has faith in humanity. No matter how much of the rest of the world they end up destroying, there's still potential. But they turned her mother into a giant Hydra thing, and or monster thing. They call them Hydras, and then they nuked her home, and now I don't believe in you anymore. And then she finds out, because she had amnesia and relearns what happened during the war, that she has the potential to be just as horrible as they are, because the scorched earth was her fault. The overarching the character arc and the overarching themes here are really well handled. Um, I like the story a lot. I have a lot of questions about how we get to certain places logically, but
Yeah, especially like backstory stuff.
there's a great outline here that I don't think the book is always finding really character-driven ways to get to its plot points. But it's a really solid story, and it made me like this character as much as I ever have.
Yeah, for sure. I also want to mention Roboters 100 says that there
Hi.
is an old man swamp thing called Green Hell that's also a Black Label book, so that's our number 10.
And we should review it.
Heck yeah. I love Swamp Thing. He's great.
John Ty says you should read Tom King's Rorschach book. I started it, and I couldn't get into it. I might go back at some point and try to read more of that. It's just...
Is that the one where he crosses over with the main character from Taxi Driver, or is that the Azzarello Rorschach book? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, Azzarello's Rorschach is actually Rorschach. Tom King's is, if memory serves, post-Watchmen and is not the original Rorschach, and I just have a hard time caring about that. Like, yeah,
I don't like
even
that.
if it's good, I don't know. It's just I like Kovacs. Like, I'm interested in that character, so I don't know. I might try it at some point, but
Yeah, Rorschach's like the most interesting character in that book.
But then the question is, like, is there all that much you can do in going back and adding to him? Like, the problem is Watchmen was
This
a
is why
very
you just
complete...
leave Watchmen alone.
That's why you leave it alone. Yeah, exactly.
It's a really good book. Everything else around it is crap. Leave the book alone.
I'll get back to Dark Knight Returns here in a second. But sorry, I just, like, as we were talking, I was like, I feel like I need to get, like, the crux of this book out of the way before I start criticizing it, because...
Especially because it's so much, like, a lot of the criticisms we're gonna have are, like, backstory stuff and, like, tied into kind of the twist material of this, so you kind of have to break it down before you can really get into that.
Yeah, a lot of it is really just in how you get to the main ideas, and so you can lump a lot of it together and say, conceit, backstory, but some of it is sloppy, and it would have been easier, I think,
could have been cleaner
to get, to get more, to naturally get to, and it took me out, and it confused me, and I wasn't always sure about character motivations because of it. So I think the biggest mistake as far as the giving us the backstory goes is in going back on the whole idea of what happens with the missiles, because we're told that there's a bazillion missiles. This is a really wonderfully kind of epic panel where Wonder Woman takes off her gauntlets and she takes the gloves off, and she is full powered and goes, like full on Superman mode, takes out as many missiles as humanly possible, but she can't get anything like all of them. And Themyscira is still going to be destroyed, and there's still going to be fallout that's going to mutate her fellow Amazons. And we're told, though, that the magical defenses of Themyscira, do you remember this line? Diverted some of the missiles, that they didn't all go to the island. So that would give you the fire, the Great Fire. And I realize that the point has to be Wonder Woman, destroyed the Earth herself, but the problem is some of that was going to happen anyway, because there's too many nukes that go other places than Themyscira. That was part of why I was confused about, like, how involved Wonder Woman was in ruining the planet, because like, well, she has this big fight with Superman, but there's nukes going off everywhere. Like, she's not creating fallout. Those things are. And then the other thing is, and I looked at this really closely on a second read. Superman says, look, I'm sorry that I didn't go to Themyscira and try to help save your people. A nuke was going to Smallville. All you have to do is say that several of those nukes that got diverted from Themyscira wound up in a bunch of other random places. Now, it might be crazy that it went that far, but it's an explanation. There's no explanation for why missiles are going to Smallville. Really, I mean, like, because the throwaway line is missiles were sent to other places because the Amazons are not all on Themyscira, and it's the whole, like, we have to genocide you before you genocide us thing. I'm also not 100% sure why the Amazons thought going to war with humanity was actually going to solve this problem, because it reads like the environment was already screwed, that we were, like, past a point of no return. It's already almost underwater, and they're like, well, we can't get the humans to sign a treaty with us and stop all the horrible things they're doing to the planet. I mean, they basically seem to think that if they can get humans to, like, reduce emissions and, like stop, using fossil fuels and stuff that like they don't talk about all of that, but like those are the things that we must be talking about, right? Like if they can get humanity to stop doing all that stuff, then maybe they can save Themyscira. But they also it's gone far enough that they say the magic of Themyscira is not enough to stop the Earth because it's dying. So I'm like, then why are you wasting your time going to war with humans? Especially because that's also going to have an environmental toll on the planet. Nukes or otherwise. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I don't fully understand that whole thing. But then it's like, they're like, well, we got to send missiles to other places besides Themyscira, and do they know where every single Amazon is? Is there an Amazon in Smallville?
Well, and if
are they okay
Amazon...
risking killing enough humans to kill Amazons when they're worried about genocide? There's a lot of this that's just not thought through.
Well, and then if they sent a nuke to Smallville because there was an Amazon there, like, would they really nuke part of the U.S. just to kill some Amazons?
Yeah, well, and you can say we've seen this scene in so many different movies and comics and things. We have the crazy general, right? Who's like, we gotta nuke him. Like it's acceptable risk and loss and stuff. We don't see this in scene. It's just told to us by Cheetah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So you don't get that scene. So you don't know like who makes the decision and like how they come to it and all of that. But I'm with you. Like it's a genocide kind of situation. It's not just let's win a war. It's, as far as I understand it, because it's not discussed enough, like, all we're told is the Amazons think a war will solve this problem. That's it. Like, I don't know if they want to kill all the humans. They seem to a little bit later, but that's because, like, now humanity's going for genocide. Against the Amazons. So anyway, like I said, it's just sloppy. Like a lot of it's not thought through.
Yeah, and Themyscira is, this tiny little island, and they sent like 1,000 nukes to destroy it.
Well, in their defense, they know that they're like superpowered gods.
That is true.
And the nukes don't kill them. Even all those nukes don't actually kill them.
But you'd think like one would. Like at a certain point, there's so many nukes that it's really just gonna hit the rest of the planet.
It also gets a little bit silly because then I have the question. Well, looking at this panel, I actually have a couple of questions. One is just how many nuclear weapons are on the planet. Like, if it's really funny that this is the thing that unites humanity. Is they want us to stop driving cars. You know what I mean? Like they want us to stop messing up the environment. For our right to mess up the environment, we're going to nuke them. Like, that's not exactly what's going on, but, like, I kind of need the scene that maybe gives me humanity's side of this, of, like, why they're not listening to Wonder Woman and the other Amazons when they're trying to create a treaty. Mm-hmm. Because they have to also be able to tell that they're destroying the Earth. If Themysciran magic won't fix it now?
Yeah, no, this book just proves that Superman was right in Superman 4.
I had that thought. I also kind of wondered why Superman wouldn't at this point start really considering that. Like, he could maybe solve this problem or come closer to solving this problem if he worked with Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And all the heroes aren't dead yet.
Yeah, exactly.
We're told that they all die, or that some of them leave the planet. But you only see the Trinity in this.
Yeah,
so it's talked about.
For
it's kind of hand waved.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of waiting the whole book for Aquaman to show up in some way, especially with the environmental part and the idea that the oceans are rising to take out Themyscira. I thought for sure we were going to kind of deal with that.
And you mentioned this to me while we were talking back and forth. Also, one of the big locales in this is a lighthouse.
Yeah, because when they showed up there, I was like, oh, they went to Aquaman's lighthouse. Like, that's pretty cool. And then it's never actually mentioned as being that. So I don't know if that's just coincidence or if that's what that's supposed to be.
Roboter says the result was to get the Earth in the way they needed it for the story, which is Wonder Woman discovering the horrific aftermath. It's sloppy, but it works since the book is more about exploring. Well, and I don't think it ruins it.
Yeah, exactly. Cap and I talked about this before the show, that this is obviously just kind of building it there. So there's a lot of like coincidence and whatnot to kind of get us there, to the stuff that the book's more concerned with. But some of that could have also been a bit cleaner at the same time.
Yeah, and like I said, it was distracting to me. Again, because in some places it made me question character motivation a little bit, and like when your characters aren't making a lot of sense and lucid enough in the first place, then when they turn into crazy people like Hippolyta, you're like, well, she seemed like she was a little bit out of her gourd in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think she was exactly supposed to be. But then there's other stuff like, why exactly does, like, it's too contrived is the point I'm making. And again, the ideas and the actual story, where the occasion for story, the inciting incident at the beginning of this book actually happens, is all really solid from then on, right? So it is pretty easy to lump all this together to conceit. There's a part of me that doesn't even need to know as much as I did, and then I wouldn't be spending as much time complaining about this, you know what I mean? Like, I either want it all worked out better than it is, or to leave more of it ambiguous. But the problem with leaving it ambiguous is, how do you make destroying the Earth Wonder Woman's fault? And then I have this question. Couldn't it just be enough that Wonder Woman killed Superman? Couldn't that by itself be enough for her to have the arc that she has, where she decides, wait a minute, I'm not very much better than human beings? She has a line where she says, I'm more human than I ever realized I was. She talks about herself as a god at the beginning of this, kind of above people, not that she sees people as like, I don't know, like pets or animals or something, but just my role is God, is a god. She understands her place in the pantheon and her place as what the traditional DC heroes are. It's really cool, like, humanizing a character that is supposed to be an icon or supposed to be a myth. That's one of the things I really like about this book. There's a line where Dee, her kind of sidekick in this, where they're going back and forth through the book on whether they can trust each other. And there's a place where she says, you believe, I'm paraphrasing, but like you believe in people even though they don't deserve it. That's inhuman. And Wonder Woman looks at her, and it's a wonderful bit. It's a great line, and she just says, like, exactly, like, that's the point. And so anyway, I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the stuff in the like the main events of the book, I think all work pretty well, and it's definitely, I'd say, more of like an action book, but it also like doesn't stop to or like it doesn't kind of ruin Wonder Woman's character in the same time. Like, she still feels like Wonder Woman, even though it's maybe going a bit farther with like the Black Label stuff and it being in a post-apocalypse and whatnot. But she still feels like that character in a way that you could have easily not had with it being so like action focused.
And I thought this was, my worry from the beginning was that this would read like a Superman book, but just Wonder Woman is inserted in his place. Like, I thought it would be kind of a sort of, I don't know, Superman, Captain America, like, altruistic, hopeful character who refuses to change, where, like, no matter how bleak things get, she still believes in humanity, and by the end of the book, she's right. And I love how optimistic it's able to be by the end, while she has this really tragic character arc, where the exact, and I love this, by the way, 4 issues, the exact halfway point. The end of the second issue, she says, nope, never mind, I'm out, screw humanity, I don't believe in you guys anymore, I'm done. And that shocked me. I don't know how you felt about that. That is not where I thought this was going.
No, I wasn't expecting that, but it works too. Like, it's that beat in the movie that I don't think works at all, where she's like, oh, humanity's bad, I'm gonna go off and do my thing, I'm gonna leave you guys. Um, but it like really works in this book, and it makes sense, with her finding out what the people did to her home and her people, and that she's basically been slaughtering her like mutated Amazons the whole book.
Yeah, because it's not just a simple generic revenge thing. It isn't just, oh, wait, human beings killed my family, so I no longer believe in them. Like, that's part of it. But it's also, she feels set up for failure. Like she's been working for them to make them better because like the more she believes in people, they start to believe in themselves. There's a dictator character who has a redemptive arc that's paralleled with hers, and I really loved that. That like you have a guy who's absolutely reprehensible, and like he's oppressive to his people, and he takes all the good stuff and doesn't leave them with enough, and
He's a Mad Max villain.
yeah, he runs like an underground fight club. He's got the like gladiatorial games, and he makes Wonder Woman fight in that. And when she's presented to him, he immediately says, "I'm gonna marry her." Like he's just terrible. And by the end of the book, he's really redeemed, and like the book's really mature about that kind of thing, and also the context of this, because like you're not going to hold people to exactly the same standards when humanity is almost completely destroyed, and you don't have the same laws and stuff that you usually would. But so that's a thing that you can get away with in a like almost Walking Dead context, as you do here, that you couldn't do as much when society's like thriving. But I was really surprised to like be won over on this dictator character who like kind of finds himself through Wonder Woman and is like, oh, you know what? I could be better. I shouldn't be acting like this. And like he needs her to come back and care about humanity again because he's starting to find his humanity. That stuff's all just fantastic, and she ends up having to do the same thing herself ultimately.
Yeah, no, like I said, this book still like gets this character where like she comes in and inspires the people, and they go like, oh, like Wonder Woman makes us believe that we can like actually go on and find a better place, and we can kind of have something like what society used to be. And it's not just like, oh, Wonder Woman kills things real good, let's follow her because she's good.
Yeah, it's the gods that inspire us, and like by by believing in us, and it's not just about us needing to believe in them. And I also like that it goes all the way back to antiquity, to Greek mythology, where I talk a lot with comics about the idea of relative godhood, of characters that people see as gods because they're so much more powerful than regular human beings, and because they just position themselves in a pantheon and lord over people, and for enough time over history, regular humans worship them as unto gods, and so they think of themselves that way, even though they're also mortal to some degree. They're just not as mortal as we are. Are they really gods? Like, what even is a god? And this got me thinking, Greek mythology kind of had that going all the way back, at least in the idea that there's not a moral paradigm with gods. Like, they deserve to be worshipped because they are more powerful than us and had some kind of a hand in, if not the creation of the universe, in explanations for why things exist the way they do. So, like, they're responsible for different parts of nature, and so we need them, and so we worship them. But, like, Zeus was always terrible. You know what I mean?
No, all the gods are terrible.
They're terrible.
In Greek mythology, yeah.
Yeah, and this really deals with that and plays with that. And Wonder Woman has missed that memo. She doesn't understand that, and comes to in this through realizing that she also has all the same potential for greatness or terribleness, just like human beings do.
Yeah, exactly. She realizes she's not perfect. She's not like the way that some people see Superman, for example. Like, she's a very flawed person that can wipe out the entire planet, apparently.
Yeah,
You know, if
like
she's not careful.
you want a good example of how to humanize a character that is super powerful and that you might think, well, I can't relate to this person because she's immortal and she's made of clay and she can fly and yada yada yada. I mean,
I can relate to being made of clay, but
this is
the
a
other stuff,
this is a
no.
wonderful example of how you humanize that character, and everybody can find something in her to relate to. So she is simultaneously inspiring and also really deeply flawed. Maybe a little bit less inspiring here because we find out that she destroyed the planet. Again, I don't know that it had to go that far. Like, I still
Yeah,
think just killing Superman was probably enough, actually. But it still works. That part of it works.
yeah, no, for sure. And I guess it's kind of, I'm just thinking about this now. It has that old man Logan thing too, where she doesn't really have her powers through most of the book until the end, where you get like the big, like here comes Wonder Woman, she's gonna save the day.
Yeah.
But before that, she's just kind of like a person. Like I think she's still
She's got
powered.
super strength,
Yeah.
but she's not as strong as she used to be. Like, she can barely get Superman's key up at the Fortress of Solitude, and that kind of
Yeah,
gives you a
exactly.
barometer of how strong she is. So I mean, pretty strong, but she's not lifting like the Empire State Building or anything.
Mhm. Yeah, no, exactly. No, she's still struggling with everything. So she's even weaker than she is with her bands that weaken her already.
Yeah, and sometimes that ends up reading kind of too contrived or therefore not a good enough reason beyond just if she's too powerful, she'll solve the problem too quickly. This is all about how much of a god Wonder Woman really is and what that means, right? So her having to feel more mortal and live more like a mortal as she is discovering that with all of her powers, she acted too much like the worst of humanity is really good. And then when you get to the end and she can only find one of the bands and not the other one, and now that she's found some of humanity, she's forced to be a god again. That's excellent.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and I also really like the idea that you have kind of her power in a box, like a almost like a Pandora's box thing, and you give it to a member of humanity, and they have to be the one that decides whether she's worthy of it or not.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It of course plays as kind of an easy MacGuffin, where
Mhm.
there's this artifact that can automatically give her powers back, but it's seeded pretty well. I don't understand how it works exactly or how Batman came up with it, where it's like I don't know. It's one of those things that kind of reads. It's kind of there for theme, and it's a little too forced because it's like
Yeah,
when you start to think about the actual events and like the character coming up with these things, you're like, well, Batman apparently now knows that he's part of this narrative and that this is the character arc that this character has to go through, right? Like
well, it's especially
he's
funny
reading the
because
script.
Batman makes like a robot Superman that has this box,
Yes.
and when our human character D comes in, the robot Superman's like, "Oh, D, come with me. I need to, show you this." It's like, how does robot Superman just know who this person is?
Yeah, and this was Batman's whole plan. Well, I mean, she's been there for a little while. I think he was just going to give it to someone that he thought he could trust to do that, or that it made
I think
sense
it
could make that
happens right when
call.
she shows up.
No, no, no. She's been there a little while.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't. Oh wait. Well, they don't give it to. Okay, so it's a flashback that they give you in the middle of the big battle at the end that happened at the fortress. But
Mhm.
she's been standing there through some of that exposition. Like, the robot would at least know that she is, like, I don't know, gonna fight with Wonder Woman and affiliated with her, I guess. Like, but,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I see what you're saying, where it's like, how do you, why do you think that this person should make this decision for all of humanity, since the whole point is the wronged party should decide? Here's kind of the trouble with it, though. Besides just the fact that Batman's plan is kind of crazy, where it's like, I'm gonna put Wonder Woman in kind of stasis, she's going to be in a coma, and then someday she'll get woken up, but she won't have all of her powers, and then I'll make it to where somebody can inject her with something to give her. It's too poetic, Batman.
Yeah, he like sucked green ooze out of her, and that's her power. And then you have to like inject her with this green ooze.
Yeah,
It's very bizarre.
and I guess the answer to how does he know he can do that is just he's Batman, or Tower of Babel or whatever. You know what I mean? Where like I guess if Batman was ever going to take Wonder Woman down, he was going to suck out her power. But like, it's all got several bits of different gods' blood, like all within her and her bloodstream. I don't see how he's just sucking her powers out.
Mm-hmm.
But okay.
No, Batman in general in this has that. Well, how did he do it? I don't know. He's Batman, I guess, which is not something that I latch onto with Batman as a character.
Yeah.
But like he survives the apocalypse because I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's got the apparatus, I guess, where I can kind of see, and we do this a lot with apocalypses with Batman, where he's one of the last people that makes it. I mean, if you think about it, if Batman is good enough at what he does, and he's got the foreknowledge, or I shouldn't say knowledge, the forethought to have contingencies for all kinds of stuff, if any one human being, considering that he's allowed to, like, run around with the Justice League and doesn't have powers, it'd be Batman. And that might, for you, go too close to the I'm Batman thing, but then he shouldn't be a member of the Justice League. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think what it is that it's a very sudden Wonder Woman goes, "Oh, I'm mad at you now, Superman," and like they punch each other around the planet, nuking everybody, and Batman just survives that. I don't know. Like, no matter how prepared you are, if you're just a person, like you're screwed in that scenario.
Okay, but the thing is, I still don't understand how far the fire goes, and if like, I mean, I guess the idea is that it's the great fire that destroys everything and not the nukes. I don't know how many nukes got dropped. Like they act like it's just Themyscira, and then like the rest of the planet is just scorched, I guess. Because they don't really talk about, I don't think nuclear fallout really anywhere else. Like, they talk about wasteland. But then you also have to keep in mind that this all happened centuries ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So you wouldn't be dealing with as much fallout anymore. And the only reason that you still have
nuclear fallout, how Batman ultimately dies.
Yes, because he gets radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, like, other humans survive, or you wouldn't have a race left, so...
Yeah, no, I just thought it was convenient that Batman survives long enough.
But he doesn't survive for very long. He's like, in a few days, I'm gonna die. Like, but then,
yeah.
But this seems like a very convoluted plan to come up with when you were dying.
Yeah, no, he's just crazy. Like, he's dying, and so he creates Robot Superman. He puts Wonder Woman in a giant coma machine, and then he sucks out her powers. Yeah, and he sets up all of this.
Roboter says, Bruce was only protected for so long. If you look at Batman's corpse, he's got too much radiation. And like, we know that. Like we're talking about the fact that, like, he got irradiated and that's why he's dying. But Austin still thinks he survived too long.
Yeah, no, he should have been wiped out instantly.
But
I guess
why?
He was saved by his purple gloves. I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. You say that, but, like... a lot of other humans survived. Like, why do you think Batman in particular should have been wiped out? We don't really know where he was when all this happened exactly. We see him at the cave, but after he's gotten radiation poisoning, like, I don't know where he was, right?
Yeah. It's just kind of convenient, I think.
Well, again, there's a lot of that. And the most, I meant to say this earlier, the most convenient thing in the whole book, of course, is the selective amnesia. There's just no reason for it, except it has to be a reveal to her, or she can't have her character arc. If she wakes up and she's like, "Oh God, I'm just as bad as the rest of humanity," it's a 2-issue book instead of 4 at the very least. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, and maybe not even that, because she's not inspiring anybody at that point. She's probably Al Simmons. She's probably no fun to read at all. She's probably just moping, like walking around, woe is me. Like, what does that character do?
Yeah. Yeah, no, not that. I don't want to see that.
She does what Superman does in Kingdom Come, right? She just goes off and becomes a farmer and never talks to anybody again. Like,
Yeah, no, she splits her forehead and then ties it back together with a shoelace from her Wonder Woman boot.
so can we talk about the coolest, most metal thing ever in a Wonder Woman thing? Like, we've waited too long to discuss this. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman. I guess I'll just back up before we get to that specifically.
Sure, but I'm
Wonder
gonna keep it on
Woman's
the screen because it's awesome.
No, of course. Wonder Woman's got like a Trinity thing going where she's Wonder Woman. She's got Batman's belt, so she's got like a bat symbol on her. And then her Superman thing is that she rips out Superman's spine and skull and like puts her lasso in it so she can use it as a weapon. And I've never thought about that, like using a Kryptonian skeleton as a weapon. And it's right there. It's
It
so
makes
perfect.
perfect sense. No, it's fantastic. And just the image of her using Batman's utility belt and Superman's spine.
Hmm.
The
Which is,
symbolism of that
yeah,
is spectacular. Like sure, it's on the nose. It's comic book melodrama. For this kind
yeah.
of thing, I love it because it's a really almost perverse, tragic trinity. Like, it's Wonder Woman, she survived, but she's broken inside, and she doesn't have all of her powers. And to compensate for that, she has to use Batman's resourcefulness and literally Superman's spine, Superman's bravery. It's killer. I love it.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, I think the weirder thing about the Batman, like the utility belt, is that she never really uses anything from it. Like she just kind of has it.
There's a setup for her to, like, maybe start tossing a bunch of stuff at the end, and I don't think that ever happens. Or if it does, I missed it.
No, the most we get out of it is Hippolyta's attacking, or not Hippolyta. No, it is when Hippolyta's attacking them on Themyscira, and D like whips out like a smoke bomb from the belt.
Well, then that's probably the payoff for that setup earlier when she and Dee, or one of Dee's friends, I can't remember. There's a whole supporting cast in this that's somewhat unmemorable, partly because a lot of them die early, and really the important characters are Dee and the dictator guy. The former dictator guy. His name starts with a T. I've been right before this. I was trying to
Oh,
memorize it.
I had it, and
It
then the
was.
second you said it starts with a T, it like deleted in my mind.
I'll try to grab it here. I've not been able to commit that to memory.
Oh my God, what was it?
And then, of course, Hippolyta as the Thaden.
Yeah,
Thaden.
and Cheetah is like the other big character.
Yeah. I don't want to get too far away from what we're talking about here, but do you want to talk about Cheetah for a second? Because we haven't really done that.
Yeah, we can do. Cheetah's Arkham Knight, Killer Croc. She was just experimented on and is like way more mutated.
For
And
no good reason?
yeah, and they put like an actual cheetah's head on her arm, which
That
she
is
uses
messed
as a hand.
up. She has, yeah, it's a physical cheetah's head that is alive and growling, and she has to, like, probably feed it and stuff. It's very strange.
Yeah, when she even because Killer Croc has that like mouth thing on the side too in Arkham Knight when he comes back all mutated, and then she wants to kill the dictator guy because he was the one who did this to her, and then Wonder Woman has to stop her obviously,
And then ultimately she is
and then she kind of just
instrumental.
becomes exposition woman after that.
She does, but she also becomes. I like her role toward the end, where she becomes kind of instrumental in helping Wonder Woman kind of like find her faith in people again. Where like she kind of teams up with her and kind of says, let's let bygones be bygones. Like, I don't want to live in the world the way it is. Like, you really have to find your hope in people again. It almost seems like one of those you don't know what you have until it's gone kind of things, where like she doesn't appreciate Wonder Woman's worldview until her worldview changes, and then she's like, oh wait, no, we can't have that. Like, you have to be Wonder Woman. That's very important. So I like that a lot. The world at large ends up reading a little bit too Wonder Woman centric. And I wouldn't have that if there weren't other DC things in this. But it's kind of weird that she so quickly finds Cheetah. Like when you did Old Man Logan, it wasn't only X-Men things or Wolverine things that Logan kept stumbling upon. You know, there's like the Hulk kids and
Well, Red Skull's
Red
like
Skull is the
one
president.
of the big main villains.
Yeah,
Doctor Doom.
yeah,
Is there.
it's the Marvel universe at large, and so you have the token Batman. I don't even say token. You have the Batman and Superman stuff because this book is a little bit about the Trinity thing and where Wonder Woman falls in that. But and I'm not even complaining that they don't deal with a bunch of other things in DC because I like that it's not bogged down with that. But if you're gonna have her go into gladiatorial games and the first person she runs into is Cheetah, I kind of want it to just be a Wonder Woman book. When there's anything else in it, I'm kind of questioning all the Wonder Woman centric stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like me with the Aquaman thing. I was kind of waiting for him to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice that Cheetah's here because a lot of these types of, old man whatever books don't have like the main villain. And it's not the Dark Knight Rises thing, or Returns, sorry.
Yeah.
Where it's, like your one last fight between these two. But like, she's at
No,
least
they really
there.
flipped
It's not
the
like
script
Old
on
Man
that.
Logan. Yeah.
Because you think she's going to be the villain or continue to be one of the big villains, and she's not. And, Hippolyta becomes kind of the anti-Wonder Woman. And she's the right villain for this, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nice that she's here, because you have something like Old Man Logan, which doesn't include Sabretooth, and it like feels kind of weird that he's not there because of it.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I mean, I figure he just died along with everybody else, but
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where you think of like, oh, okay, we're doing like the big, kind of final swan song for this character. You kind of expect for, their big kind of rivalry character to show up.
that's fair. And again, partly
Not
because
that that's an issue with that book. It's just kind of like, it's weird that he's not there.
again, partly because Dark Knight Returns set the precedent for that. So an hour in, let's go ahead and talk about that now because I meant to do that.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I was going to do, and then we got away from it. Austin,
Yeah.
throw out some things beyond just this is set in the future and is kind of post-apocalyptic or dystopian or whatever you like that reminded you of Dark Knight Returns.
Oh God. See, and now I'm like on the spot. It's like, what does this remind me of? Dark Knight Returns.
I'm sorry, I just start throwing some things
That's
out.
okay. You throw out something. I'll throw out something when I think about it.
Okay, so the first thing is really sketchy, kind of over the top artwork.
Oh yeah, I was thinking Frank Miller in places, but not specifically Dark Knight Returns. I was thinking of some of the artwork around. Is it All Star Batman and Robin? Like some of the covers for that book that Miller did.
Oh sure, but like it's super stylized and it's really like I said, sketchy and pencily. It's real liney, and we're not afraid to make characters look really ugly. And I gotta say, overall, I actually am not a big fan of the art in this book, or at least like I think it serves the material pretty well. I like it in the action. I don't like some of the character models, and I don't like the inconsistency in some of the faces. Wonder Woman is talked about as, of course, being like one of the most beautiful women that ever lived, and she very often in close-ups has this like 13-year-old face. I don't know why she looks so young, and then there's other places where she's just drawn like a caveman. I think.
Yeah. No, she kind
and
of.
I don't know if there's enough of
a
reason for it.
Mm-hmm. No, she kind of
looks
jumps
13.
back and forth between. Yeah. No, in that panel specifically, I was thinking like Hit Girl in the Kick-Ass comics.
Sure.
But she kind of jumps back and forth between being like a Steven Universe character and like a Cro-Magnon woman. And then in this one, she's Hit Girl.
Well, and you said that the art threw you off to the point where you couldn't even tell that Dee was a female character until the very end of the book.
Yes, and so when we meet the Wonder Woman goes like, oh, Steve Trevor, and I was like, just instantly like, oh, like this is our love interest, like this is like this guy, he's like the new Steve Trevor, and then I don't know. I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to certain panels because Cap showed me a panel and went like, "Yeah, these bottom two, you can tell that she's a woman."
Pretty clearly a woman, yeah. And
But apparently, I missed those lines.
she has a very sisterly relationship with her sister. That's a
Mm,
thing. And
yeah, that's fair.
there's a line in the third or fourth issue where I think like maybe the third, where she, sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot about this, where she's like where Wonder Woman, when they can't get help from Superman for obvious reasons, she's like, no man is going to help us because there are a couple of women, Austin.
Oh, whoops. But yeah, I didn't realize she was a woman until the last scene when she's got like a tank top, and I was like, wait, what? Like,
So
she
I'm
looks
giving
like
you crap about it, but I'm also bringing it up because at least if you're just looking at the face, I understand that. You know,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that women have to always be like super gorgeous or super effeminate or whatever, but like a lot of the faces in this are kind of too similar.
Yeah, no, and she looks like the Pearson guy from Punisher. I think it's something Dave. It's like
Oh, I know
it
what you're
starts with
talking
it starts with an S. But yeah, the guy that you don't like when they rip out his piercings,
about. Okay, so other
even though it's
things.
not on screen.
Where this reminds me of Dark Knight Returns. Well, our main character has to have who is a superhero and usually friendly with Superman, has to have a big drag down knockout fight with Superman, just like in Dark Knight Returns. Of course, that's handled somewhat differently.
Although both have them kick Superman's ass, so
Yes, that is true. Um, you have to have some kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than just really like metal kind of outfit for your hero, where there's a big kind of exciting dramatic money shot of like this is this crazy thing you never thought you'd see this character wear. With Batman and Dark Knight Returns, it's of course the big metal suit that he's gonna wear, the kind of mech suit to fight
no, no,
Superman.
no. It's very
And
clearly the old woman outfit in the store.
what do you mean? I don't know what that means.
In Dark Knight Returns, where he's dressed up like the old woman when he fights Joker's henchman.
Yeah,
That's the big metal suit.
I don't remember. I don't remember that. But anyway. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is the big kind of iconic moment, right?
Yeah,
That's the big iconic thing. And if this got really popular, this would be the thing that we were making like a million statues of in action figures and stuff. That thing that you never thought you'd see.
You also have Wonder Woman like leading an army of people, as well as riding a horse, although it's a Pegasus in this.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. I was going to make the leap to say that the Pegasus was like
The Carrie
tank,
Kelly.
was like the tank Batmobile,
Oh, okay, yeah.
where she's just gonna have some different kind of crazy version of what she's usually using. Because like I guess she went from an invisible jet to a Pegasus.
Yeah, and the Pegasus has the exact same mutation as Cheetah, where it's got like the teeth on the side,
Oh yeah, that's true.
which is a little strange. But
Well, and that was a thing that I wanted to talk about also real quick that you brought up, and I think it was when we were talking back and forth about this today that I thought was a really good point, that it's kind of odd that the important Amazons don't mutate as much as all the rest of them, where they're not unrecognizable.
yeah, because all of the Amazons, mutate into these crazy monsters, and you have no idea that they were originally people. And then you have who was the warrior woman? I kept thinking whenever she showed up, I was like, "Oh, is that going to be Ares?" And then it wasn't. But it starts with an N. Um,
It's
it's like
in
Nubia or
Nubia.
something.
Nubia, yeah.
Yeah. So she mutates where it's still just like a woman in armor, but when she takes off the mask, she's got like snail eyes that like flop down.
Yeah, and Hippolyta's got
Apparently, only Hippolyta's legs mutated, but they
yeah,
mutated into a giant monster.
yes,
But the top half of her is fine.
exactly. But yeah, she's just normal from the waist up.
Mhm. Though she was pretty lucky that only her legs were affected by the radiation.
She looks like a House of the Dead boss.
I was thinking the Garfield I'm sorry John memes, the where it's Garfield's face on like a giant Lovecraftian monster.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. Well,
But
and there is
yeah.
something like. I like how much this goes back to traditional Greek mythology, and this writer. You know, we haven't even said his name, and we should. Pardon
Well,
me,
he both wrote and drew this, which I
Daniel
guess is
Warren
like a
Johnson, who
Miller
I'm not
type of.
familiar with. Say again.
I said, which I guess is like a Millery thing, but I don't think Miller drew like any of the Batman stuff he did.
No, I don't think he did either. Uh,
But that is a Miller thing. He did that with Daredevil.
well, and he drew Year One too, right? Did he
No,
not? Did he not draw that book?
no, I had to think about it for a second. No, I'm
It's
pretty sure he
it's
didn't
been
draw
too
that.
long. I forget now. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, he wrote and drew this, and anyway, I'm gonna read a couple comments anyway from
Hmm.
Robotters. He's mentioned a bunch of stuff through this. Robotters, I'm not gonna read all your comments, but I'll mention a couple of things here.
You can have one, sir.
Robotters, Batman has some great moments in this. The robot Superman and finding Wonder Woman in the first place, and that she was the one who, or he was the one who protected her while she regained consciousness, and the one who destroyed has to save. Yes, I kind of wished that Batman also had his own robot, because I thought that would have been pretty funny.
I just want Alfred to be there. He's just lived 100 years.
And he's like Mr. Freeze in Batman Beyond, where he's just like a head on spindly legs, and
Well, it's just like Dark Knight Returns. He's just really old.
yeah, the irony is he's the only one that survived.
Yeah, exactly.
It is
We
pretty
could.
crazy that, although that makes no sense, this was centuries ago.
I know, but it'd be funny. It doesn't make sense that he's still alive in Dark Knight Returns either.
Well, he could be 90, but here there's no chance, right? Like it would have to, well, you could say something genetic manipulation, like the same people that got a hold of Cheetah could get a hold of him, and then he could have like octopus arms or something, and then
Okay, we found two things we're gonna experiment on. We've got this cheetah woman. We've got this old British.
an elderly butler.
Oh my god! What if Cheetah had Alfred's head instead of a cheetah's head?
Just on her arm.
Yeah,
He's just telling her to like clean things.
yeah. And he's like, like, hello, hello, Diana. Like, it's me, Alfred.
Oh
You may
man,
not recognize me because I'm the hand of Cheetah.
that's screwed up. But yeah, I do like the robot Superman a lot. I like the lettering with robot Superman.
Yeah, yeah. All that's pretty cool. I like that he's like a skeleton robot Superman too. That's pretty.
Robotters, Batman does think if any humanity were to survive, Wonder Woman would be the only one that could save the remainder. Clearly, he knew the world was on its last leg. Yes, I understand why he puts her in stasis to be resurrected or to be, brought back eventually. I guess. But the thing that's convoluted about it to me is just the whole plan to like make sure that she doesn't have her powers when she wakes up, and like sucking it out and like coming up with a box so she can get stabbed and get it all back and all of that. Like I don't know, just that he comes up with all of that, and like there's a lot of things that have to come together to work out for her to have any chance at saving the world or getting humanity going again later.
Well, especially because she's in the Batcave and the box and all that is in the Fortress of Solitude. Like,
That's a good call too.
it's not like she's there with a Pegasus and doesn't have the ability to fly. Like there's
And there's nothing in the cave telling her where to go. I didn't think of that. Like, I guess the problem is and again, you could say, oh, it's Batman. He plans for every possible contingency. There's a difference between having a plan in case something happens and having, I know I always say it like this, but having a, like, Mammon from Spawn level, like, master manipulation plot where you just work backwards and he knew everything that was going to happen. You have to just assume that she will go try to find Superman at some point. And, like, yeah, she might or probably will do that, but I would think you'd want to make sure.
Mhm.
And he
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
give
He
her any
could've left
instructions.
he could have
You
left a
think that
sticky note.
Yeah, like why isn't there a robot? If he can plan for all of this stuff, why isn't there another robot there to talk to her when she wakes up?
Hmm. That's where Robot Alfred could have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So that's why I think it's a little bit contrived. But like, remind me, Austin.
Hmm.
So when she's in her coma, like first of all, what put her in the coma?
I want to say she goes into her coma because she uses too much power killing Superman or something.
Okay.
But I could be wrong about that.
So is it just that it's gonna take her a long time to like heal or rejuvenate or whatever? Like, because she's only
Maybe.
brought out of it because I guess kids show up in the Batcave.
Yeah, they like fall onto her stasis
What
tube.
if that had never happened?
Well, and that's another thing. Yeah, is
Why didn't Batman come up with a way to wake her up?
mhm.
At
Yeah. What
some
if
point.
somebody found it and they just lit it on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then because he sucks out her power, what if she does go to the Fortress of Solitude, but now she can't get in it because she doesn't have her powers and
How
she
does he
can't
know
lift
that
up the
she's going to
key?
have enough strength that she can lift that key? He
Yeah,
knows too
exactly.
much. He's read the script, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. His purple gloves like made their way through that script.
Roboto's Old Man Logan does eventually do Sabretooth in the later spin off stuff. Well, of course it does.
Yeah, no, that's like uh, an obvious go-to, I think, when you're making sequels to that.
One more comment from Robotos. I do like the revelation that Wonder Woman all along has been killing Amazons the entire time, and knowing what she knows, still decides to stand with humanity. It's pretty. Yes, and I
Hmm.
more or less said that earlier, but yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, that stuff works quite a bit.
What else haven't we talked about, Austin?
Um,
I'm sure I could make up more things where this is kind of like Dark Knight Returns, but
yeah, no, I feel like we've hit like the major story beats. Like
yeah.
outside of that, you get like just kind of a lot of action. Like there's a part where she fights a giant Godzilla-sized Amazon and pours gasoline down its throat.
Yeah, we haven't talked a ton about the action stuff because you know me, I'm such a story guy.
Yeah, of course.
But it is a pretty exciting book, and I like all the crazy monsters she gets to fight. I'm always down for like a skeleton wearing a Superman suit. I don't know why, but like just a
Just a
Terminator
cool
looking
image.
skeleton wearing it. That's always cool.
Hmm. Yeah, no, like I said, I like that the robot Superman is like a skeleton.
And gets to fight at the end because I thought he would because like I don't know if you know this, Austin. Well, you probably do, right? Like there's often some kind of an AI in the Forces of Solitude
Yeah.
that talks to you if you arrive, and usually it's like a hologram or it's a Kryptonian, like little what like Kalex or something, one of those like floaty robots.
Mhm.
Uh, so I expected this to just be kind of that. Like I didn't think that it would come out and fight and be part of the team at the end. That was really cool.
Yeah, I was surprised that he showed up to fight, and then he immediately dies. But it was cool that he showed up.
How does he get killed? I don't remember that.
Yeah, Hippolyta eats him.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, he probably didn't taste very good.
no, probably not. It's probably
This
cold and metal.
this stuff is where this artist shines, I think. This action stuff. This is where like how sketchy it is, but like the details he's able to come up with that kind of art style, that art really supports the action in a way that I don't think it does the dramatic scenes as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. He's got, like I said, it's a very like anime action. Like the background kind of fades out, and there's a lot of uh, you know, he's kind of making it look like there's a lot of fast movement, even though it's just like a still image.
That's a good point. It's real kinetic.
Yeah, kinetic. Yeah.
More and more, you see a lot of anime and manga influence in modern artists and younger up and comers, and that's not surprising. But of course, and I have come to because of course I didn't grow up with that stuff, and it's not immediately my wheelhouse. I've gotten more used to it. I've started watching more anime and stuff, and so it doesn't immediately put me off like it once did. But there's still a time and a place with certain kinds of stories you're telling, where sometimes less is more, and it's not the right aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just the really exaggerated stuff, like
Yeah, like what we talked about with her fighting Superman, where he's got some weird faces when he's getting hit.
Uh, that's a good point. Philly Voodoo, who I don't recognize, welcome. Hi there. Speaking on the artwork, it reminds me of Keith or Jock in its loose sketch effect. I can see Jock. I see what you're saying there. That's a great full page spread.
Hmm. No, that looks really cool, especially with the fire in the background. Stuff like that looks really good. It's more of, like you said, the kind of close-ups on people during conversations where it kind of gets a little not great.
Well, and what it reminds me of is some like I don't know what era, like Middle Ages or medieval stuff where you have where you have like sketches in books of like myth or epic poetry or something. Like it's going back to those kinds of illustrations, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I hadn't had that thought. That's interesting.
The
I
kind of art that you associate with like Dante or something.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I like that Wonder Woman's got like a reddish tint to her coloring, like almost like they're kind of trying to showcase that she's made of clay. I don't know if that's intentional, but it was a thing I thought of
Yeah, that's
while reading
interesting.
it.
I didn't have that. All right, well, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks for hanging out with us live. Especially, I didn't read some of the other comments here that were just kind of like jokes and things. Hot Takes Tuesdays. Hi there. I love this comic. I liked it a lot too. I know I criticized quite a bit of the story background and stuff. That was the reason, Austin, that I wanted to make sure and get the big ideas out of the way first because I was afraid that I would just launch into, okay, so here's all the stuff that I don't understand with this book because I don't know. Like I like the book enough. I wanted that stuff to make more sense, and it was hard not to think about it a lot. So it
Hmm.
was difficult not to spend too much time on it, which I'm sure I did. But don't get me wrong, it's really good, and
Hmm.
I'm glad people are making me read more decent and good modern stuff because I'm not keeping up at all right now, and these kinds of things seem like diamonds in the rough. Like whenever I look at solicitations, Austin, which I'll do every now and again, and I see what books are on the shelves, I'm just like, this all sounds stupid. Like a
Well,
lot of stuff does.
DC's at the point where they're doing like Twitter contests to decide which book they greenlight. I don't know if you've seen any of that stuff,
I didn't know about
where
that.
they have like it's you got like this book, this book, this book, and then you like vote, and then they make their way across the charts until they get the one that's greenlit. I think they've done it at least twice. I was like,
Okay.
man, you're in a rough spot when that's how you're deciding what book you're greenlighting.
It seems really hard to comb through all the nonsense and the riffraff to find the really good stellar stuff right now, and neither neither of the big two seem to just be real on even still. And again, I'm not reading anything at the moment, so I could be wrong about that. It could be everything's great, but every now and again when I do kind of check in, stuff doesn't seem for me, and it just seems kind of phoned in and stuff. So I really appreciate people pointing out stuff that really is worth reading, and it seems like the few things that I have looked at over the last 3 or 4 years, Austin, the really good stuff has been these kind of one and done out of continuity things. It's not whatever is happening in the mainstream in like
Mhm.
at Marvel 616 or like the regular DC universe. Like it's this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and this stuff is,
It's
I
your
think,
Deceased and your Harleen and your Batman White Knight, which of course was popular, and so they can't stop making stuff sequels to that. But that kind of stuff.
well, and that type of stuff is why I've always thought it's really easy to get into Batman, is that there's so many just random one-off things that you can just show people and go, okay, like look, read these, trades that don't really connect into anything. Like it's just a very easy way to get into a character, as opposed to being like, okay, Spider-Man's really cool. Here's this like whole run of comics. Go
Yeah.
read that. You know,
And
you can
Spider-Man
spend,
has a
read
few
the
of those
sixth issue
things,
arc.
but
Yeah,
Batman has a lot more of them, and DC does a lot more of that in general.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it's easy for I think for newcomers.
Philly, real quick, I'll just mention because people keep asking me about this. Yes, I am watching the Talkville podcast with Rosenbaum and Welling, and I'm probably going to do more Smallville content. Finally, again, eventually, because of that. Stay tuned about that whole thing. But
And I am not. I have seen one episode of Smallville and it made me sad. So
Daniel Davis, good discussion, good everything. See you guys. Thanks, man. Roboters, again, it was a great take and impression review, Cap. Appreciate you, man. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get going. So, Austin, it is still review month, and that means that Friday we're review month. It's always review month here at Evolution. It's request month, and we're gonna
it's our last one for request month, I think, isn't it? This Friday.
I think you're probably right. It probably is. Well, it's the last request, and then I have a requested rewind the Tuesday after that.
The 31st is a Wednesday, so technically we get one for the overall month. But...
Yeah, but it will be whatever we would have been doing anyway because we do the Wednesday shows. But I was just gonna say the rewind is still for request month, and that's gonna be Revenge of the Sith, and that's gonna be on Monday night. So look forward to that. Wednesday night, Austin and I are going to be reviewing some
Friday night.
Pardon me. Yeah, let me. Well, I was just trying to decide how exactly I wanted to announce this. Because I don't have my thing for. Okay, here it is. Friday, because it's a different list. Because this is the one we're doing Friday is old reviews or old requests from the Geeks United Club from years ago. And,
I see.
And I didn't have that here, but I did write it down in another place. So anyway, Friday we're doing Adventureland, which was requested years ago by Alex Breen. That's a film that I've never seen, so we're going to talk about that. And then next Wednesday, we're going to be doing some select episodes of Ultraman requested by Jojira, and hopefully we can get our hands on those. But he has other requests, so if we can't, we'll do something else. But it will be something requested by Jojira next Wednesday. Anyway, that's what we're doing. Once again, if you want to make a request yourself, patreon.com/geekvolution, the $15 tier. There are currently 16 requests ahead of you, so it takes us about 4 months to get to those, to get those all knocked out because we do these on a weekly basis. A little bit faster this month because we've done a couple of extra ones even outside of the Geeks United Club. We've done a lot of requests this month.
Yeah, we have. It's all we've done this month.
I'm really happy that we managed to keep up with it the way that we wanted to. And we'll probably do Request Month again sometime early next year. I want to do these like maybe a couple times a year, maybe to run through some of these a little bit faster because there's a lot more interest in the request thing than I ever thought there would be, and I really appreciate everybody for that. But folks have to wait several months before they can get their reviews knocked out, and if we didn't do it that way, we wouldn't be talking about other things that I want to do and that other people want us to do. And so every month can't be request month.
Well, we started for the Friday show. One of the Patreon perks is that you can vote for what we do. And then we did it once, and then we jumped into request.
I let everybody know, though, that the very next month we'd get back to that. So, yeah, that poll will come.
How that landed.
That poll will come back up for next Friday. And so we don't know what we're doing yet for next Friday. It could be one of like 50 different things.
I know, it's going to be exciting.
All right, thanks again, guys. We sure appreciate you. I was Captain Logan. This was Austin, the Day Ghost.
Goodbye, everybody.
Later, folks.